Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
BrainShare Business Mentors proudly presents BrainShare.us, the ultimate business education platform, delivering the proven systems, processes, tools, and knowledge that empower you to build the business of your dreams. With 13 high-powered courses encompassing over 240 lessons accessed online on your schedule. Running a business is the hardest thing you'll ever do. We've helped thousands of business owners gain the leadership, communication, and business skills needed to build the business of their dreams. We can help you. Choose your learning path. Scuba Squad is the premier membership program for today's business leaders with access to all BrainShare material and double our money-back guarantee. BrainShare Basics, the ultimate business framework course, a hard-hitting 13-week program to lay the necessary foundation to build the business of your dreams. Or take individual courses as you need them. Every course has dozens of lessons, with video, practical exercises, precise documentation, and the opportunity for direct feedback from a BrainShare mentor. All programs have our exclusive 30-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked, don't wait. Choose your path and start today.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. Doing business and life with a purpose, serving others, and yes, achieving success. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. Yes, not the world, but your world first. And I want you to think about, as you listen to this incredible guest today, how will you serve today, and what impact will you create today with that service? I want to thank my two sponsors, BrainShare.us, drive business success and sustainability with BrainShare Business Mentors, where your business flourishes and your vision comes to life. Check out the link in the show notes. And then pitchdb.com. Imagine being a guest in the possibility of 3 million podcasts or speak at 11,000 different conferences and much, much more. Build your thought leader platform with incredible opportunities to show who you are. And as I always say, the monologue impact's a big part of me. That's what a servant's heart does. This impact my next guest has is incredible. We're going to get down and dirty, a little neuroscience coaching and a little bit about that, but mindset, I think, and she'll talk more about that, is what we're really talking about. Julie, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me on, Steve. I'm excited to be here.
I love it. Neuroscience mindset. Let's define that right away, right off the top.
Right. Well, I think most people are familiar with mindset work. Neuroscience, where that kind of comes into play for me, I have a coaching certification that's neuroscience coaching and leadership. And really what that's all about is better understanding how our brains work, what makes us tick, and why we respond to things in the way that we do. And I think that's so important. I know for me, whenever I really got into the science behind why we act the way we do, it helped not only me, but it helped me really better serve my coaching clients, because I was able to help them dig into not just the mindset driving something, but the actual neuroscience, the actual chemistry going on in our bodies that's making us respond to threats and stress and stressors in our lives the way that we are. And it's true for all humans.
Now, what's interesting, I believe this neuroscience coaching you developed yourself.
Well, I actually have a coaching certification. I'm not a neuroscientist myself, but I work with a UCLA trained neuroscientist, Shantae Siobhan Taylor. She's amazing, and she has the Optimind Institute. So I learned directly from a neuroscientist, but I'm not a neuroscientist myself. Just really love to geek out on the science behind things.
Yeah, no, thanks for clarifying for me, because sometimes the host can be not so correct, and that's okay. We're human. We make mistakes. Well, mindset is talked about all over the place, but what is the challenge for you when you work with people on mindset?
Well, kind of the way the neuroscience came into play there with the mindset is I'd been doing mindset, work myself for, the past 13, 14 years. And it was incredibly helpful because I really didn't get into it until I started my business. Mindset, personal development was all kind of foreign to me. And I always say that growing your own business, becoming an entrepreneur is like the biggest personal development journey you could ever go on because it makes you do your work, right? Like
Yep.
any
Yep.
kind of mindset issues that you have, they're going to come up when you're an entrepreneur and you're going to have to address them if you're going to be successful. And so mindset work really helped me really overcome a lot of limiting beliefs and blocks that I had whenever I started my business. But I am also somebody that's always struggled with anxiety my entire life. And I really kind of got to a point in 2020. I don't know if you remember something kind of happened in 2020
Oh,
for most
yeah.
of the world,
Good
right?
point. Yeah, I remember that thing.
Very stressful time for most people. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, mindset isn't quite helping me enough here. And I really felt like there was something else that it was going to take to help me figure out like, okay, how do I keep showing up for my clients? How do I keep serving and being my best self when it feels like the world's falling apart? My anxiety is sky high and mindset's just not quite getting me there anymore. And that's when I really started studying neuroscience because I realized stress, anxiety, these things, some of these challenges we can't just address at the mental level. We're a whole person. Sometimes I feel like I'm just a head walking around with no body, but I'm very much
Yeah.
in my head a lot of the time. But some things we really also have to address at a physical level. And
Mm.
that was why I fell in love with the science, behind this and the neuroscience, because I realized, okay, it's not just a matter of thinking better thoughts or gritting my way through something and just, buckling down. I had to really address the fact that my body was in fight or flight. My nervous system was maxed out. And if I only tried to deal with things in my mind on a mental level, it wasn't enough. I had to address the fact that my body was a bundle of nerves and stress. And I really had to get to the root of that before I could see any progress.
I love that because physical is so important.
It
It's the
is.
conduit or the connection with both the mindset. And it's interesting. This is Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. But as I talk to people, and I know we've talked about the spillover from business to life, life to
Mhm.
business, that balance. I personally, audience, I don't believe in it. You have
Yeah.
to manage it, right? And we've talked about that. Talk about how mindset can be a game changer, not only in your business, but in your life.
Well, for sure. I mean, if you're not coming to things with the right mindset and stress is really the
Mhm.
thing that is driving you, it's going to impact all areas of your life. So, I do a lot of high performance coaching with my entrepreneurial clients. And to me, high performance is not just about being successful, showing up as your best, doing your best work. It's about doing that good work while maintaining your relationships, while maintaining your health, and not getting to the point where your relationships fall apart, your kids never get to see you, your partner is, having you snap at them all the time because you're so stressed out. And that mindset, it applies to all areas of our life. And really kind of a big aha moment was for me was I've always considered myself a high achiever, a high performer at work, in my career, in my business. And I realized, you know what? Not actually, applying those same principles to my personal life. So like I said, in 2020, when everything kind of came to a head, I was still doing good work, but I didn't feel like I was showing up as my best self at home with my husband, with my kids, because I was maxed out. I was so stressed that I just wasn't showing up as my best self. And I was, snapping at people. It's sort of like when you get too hungry and you're hangry. I think when you get too stressed, you lose your patience more easily.
Yeah.
And so really having that high performance mindset in your whole life of like, you know what, I'm going to really come to the table with a lot of intention and really thinking about how I want to show up in different scenarios. And I'm going to take good care of myself so that I can serve really well and I can be my best self in my relationships as well.
So I love what you do. I've said that earlier, and I love this program because it's a bonus. It's double duty. It's, hey, I come in, we're going to work on your business, but here's the bonus. I don't charge extra for when you get home with your wife, with your family, with your friends. It carries along there. And to me, if it's a win-win-win, it's powerful. And any extra bonus we can give, value we can bring to people without charging them more, and it's the part of work that you do, it's so powerful. You know, the takeaway from neuroscience coaching certification has been a profound impact on you, on your coaching approach, but really, how has it benefited your clients?
Well, like I said, on a personal level, for me, it really helped me not only dial in that performance, reduce my stress, so I showed up in all areas, but it also helped take off a lot of, I guess, pressure and guilt that I had. And I think this is so common. I find it a lot amongst women, but I think it applies to men and women equally, where we have a lot of guilt and a lot of bad feelings about ourselves when we don't feel like we're showing up as our best selves. And when we can realize, like, oh, it's not just that I need to work even harder on my mindset necessarily. It's because you're human and because you have taxed your system to an extent that you might be living in fight or flight mode. And I think there's a certain amount of relief that you can have when you realize, okay, this isn't just a me problem. It's not just because there's something wrong with me or I'm doing something wrong. It's just because this is how our brains and our bodies are wired. This is why I'm reacting the way that I am. And it's not a matter of something necessarily being wrong. It's a matter of just needing different tools, right? Because if we don't have the right tools to go at it, if we only are using mindset, for example, but we're completely ignoring our nervous system and our bodies, well, that's just because we need a better tool set. And so I think it definitely can help give people some relief when they realize, like, oh, it's not just there's something wrong with me. It's not like, I'm not broken or something. I just need different tools. When it comes to stress, I used to think like, oh, the goal is just no stress. If I could just eliminate all stress from my life, I'd be golden, everything be wonderful. But when I really realized that's not the goal, it's not possible. If you have a servant mindset, if you have things that you're up to in the world, people that you care about, people that you want to serve, you're gonna have stress because there's things that you care about, and that's what creates stress. We only stress over things we care about. So really the goal isn't like, okay, I just need to eliminate all stress. The goal is I need to have that tool set so I can show up as my best self. I can serve to my fullest capacity. I can be a wonderful partner, a wonderful parent, and I can be a true servant without burning myself out and know that I can handle it. Whatever comes my way, I can handle it because I have the tools to handle it.
That's awesome. And I'm signing up for no stress. I think everybody else is like raising their hand with me. No stress. This is so cool. And my hand is staying up. Look at that. Good old Zoom. But you made a point there about mindset. You can't come in and go and change my mindset. But if I'm late to meetings, if I'm yelling at I'm not a good leader, I'm not mentoring, some of these other aspects I've talked about in my shows, this is a component of other things, but it's a large component of what you do, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you have to take a holistic approach, right? You have to address the mindset. You have to address the kind of neuroscience and the nervous system regulation issues that you may have. Leadership, I've been in business for 11 years now, running my own business and coaching other online entrepreneurs. And what I have seen is if you only address one area of your life or one area of your business and go all in that to the neglect of everything else, that's when it falls apart. That's why I got so interested in this type of coaching work, is because I saw people, I also have a marketing background and advertising business in addition to my coaching business. And I saw so many people scale up their businesses and become super successful in that they were making millions of dollars, but their home life was falling apart. I was like, this is not the right way. This is not true success. And so that's why I really started looking at, how do you take a holistic approach, have that great success, make the millions of dollars, but do it in a way that everything's not falling apart. So that's
It's not
really where that,
sustainable either. And
yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned it. It's just not sustainable.
no,
You know, if you go through a divorce, you own a company, that's going to impact it. Get through it as fast as you can because it's going to affect the company. It just is. We're human. We're fallible. Things, you know, there's some very stone-like people out there that doesn't affect them all, but very rare, and they're probably just not showing us.
yeah.
I want to change directions a little bit. What are some of your favorite hobbies?
Your hobbies. Oh, well, I don't know if we have video on. I think we do. I've got a big painting behind me. So one of my pandemic hobbies was I took up painting, abstract painting during the pandemic. That's not one of mine, but I learned to paint. I love to read. I'm a voracious reader. It's mid-April. I think I'm on book 23 of the year so far.
You
I read
are.
a lot. And my sons keep me busy. I have two boys, one that is getting ready for college after next year. So
Yeah.
they definitely keep me busy for sure.
And it's interesting you coach on neuroscience slash mindset. And I think painting, I've heard from other mindset coaches, what a great way to settle your mindset, calm you down, right? Or
It
other
is.
hobbies can do that as well, but maybe that's why you do it, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit, you use a different part of your brain, right? So it
Yeah.
kind of helps me switch off some of my overthinking tendencies. And I've always taken art classes and things. I did photography in high school. I've, did a little pottery. I've done a little bit of everything. But yeah, I think it's important to have some sort of creative outlet, even if you don't think of yourself as a creative person. So it could look like art, it could look like music or dance or something else. But I
Exactly.
think it's just so good for us to have some sort of creative outlet.
Thank you for that answer because I asked that question because I think mindset being 50 in 100 hours into work or even 100 hours into your family, it becomes too much.
Yeah.
You spend all, 20 or 24 hours with your wife or your husband. I mean, that's fantastic, but there's got to be that hobby that takes
Yeah.
you away. And I appreciate you talking about that. Let's go back into some little negativity, but I think you have a great answer. What are some of the early signs that you see in people you should watch out for to catch stress before it comes? You said it, we get it all the time. You
Yeah.
wake up, it could be stressful for people. But what can they do before it becomes overwhelming? It's just a little nugget, it does become a boulder.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, sometimes I'll talk to people and I'll ask them about their stressors, and they may say, like, I'm not stressed. And then they'll tell me all of these things, and I'm like, are you sure about that? Right. So sometimes it manifests as physical issues first. Right. So it could be that you're super tense, right? Our whole body tends to get tense whenever we're stressed. So maybe your shoulders are hurting or your back or something like that. I know quite a few people that clench their teeth. I used to have this problem where I'd clench my teeth really bad. I actually know people that have broken teeth because they were clenching and grinding their teeth so bad during the day or sometimes in their sleep because they were so stressed. I long time ago before I was an entrepreneur in one of my jobs, I would have an eye twitch. Literally my eye would twitch when I would get stressed. So you might have, if you'd asked me like, are you stressed? I might not have told you I was stressed, but my body was telling me my shoulders were up by my ears and was grinding my teeth and my eye was twitching, right? Clearly there's some stress there. So I would look for the physical signs first. The other thing I kind of mentioned this before is if you're short on patience, if you're snapping at people and you feel like, why am I so like mad? Like, why do I feel like angry or why am I snapping and have no patience? It may be stress levels. And then the last thing I'll say is, believe it or not, it sounds sort of the opposite, is apathy. So one of the major signs of burnout is actually apathy, when you just don't even care anymore. You're kind of checked out in your work. Maybe you're procrastinating because of it. That's a big sign of stress and burnout, actually.
And the subconscious can be so dangerous. It's what you
Mm,
work on because that's the eye twitch, people sweating,
yeah.
anxiety, that's, oh, it happens. But really, it's like you said, and we can't see the conscious. We can see, okay, I'm feeling tired. I must be stressed, or I'm feeling, temper. Well, that
Yeah.
we kind of go, we have to relate it to the stress too. And that's what you do, which is so powerful.
Mm,
What I love about what you do is people can learn so much about themselves through their mindset. How much
mhm.
does growth for a person help them when you work with mindset?
Well, like you said, it's so much about learning about yourself and really getting to know how you perform best, what your preferences are, what stresses you out that maybe doesn't stress anybody else out. And just really getting to know yourself, I think, is so powerful because most people, if you ask them, well, how do you work best? What are your preferences here? What would your ideal day be? What are your stressors, things like that. Believe it or not, a lot of people couldn't tell you that. A
Mm.
lot of people can tell you that. I mean, you ask me my hobbies, a lot of times you'll ask somebody, well, what do you do for fun or whatever? And they're like, fun hobbies? I don't know. Like, I don't do anything, right? I just work, right? Like, so I think it's so important to really take notes on what is a great day for you. If you get to the end of the day and you feel energized and like it's been an amazing day, what happened? Like, how did you set up your day? What things were you doing that made you feel that way? But most people just don't take a minute to think about that. So I think it's really important to actually, if you're good about planning your week, but then you don't do a breakdown at the end of it, I would start that. Like, so pre-planning is really important, but do sort of a breakdown at every week where you look back and go like, wow, what went really well this week? And what would I love to do more of? And what was just awful? And I wish I could never do that again. And how
Yeah.
might you change that for the future? And really start thinking about your personal preferences. Think about where your mindset was and what thoughts you were having and how you might want to change that for the week ahead. If you do that little bit of work, you'll get to know yourself so much better. And when you have that awareness,
Yeah.
that's when you can start shifting. And if you don't have the awareness, we tend to just kind of go through our weeks like robots on autopilot, and nothing's going to get better unless we have that awareness and we actively work to shift it, right?
And awareness leads to accountability. Because you become aware that you wake up late all the time, but you still keep waking up late. It's Julie coming in as the coach going, okay, let's work on this. What can we do? What, and then make accountable every week or every whatever time frame you meet
Yeah.
somebody or somebody else, a mentor, whoever.
Yeah.
That's the key too about awareness and change, mindset changes. Everybody wants to do it. Not everybody. A lot of people, I could do it. I call it the Google YouTube effect. I could DIY my mindset. I'm sorry, but that's maybe some people can do it, but
Yeah.
I'm all about probabilities.
Yeah.
Probabilities probably not. So it's always finding somebody to do that. We're coming to the end of the line here. This has been very, very, very good
Thank
because
you.
you give us so much education. And mindset's if you change your mindset and don't do anything else, you're going to grow.
Yeah.
Of course, fix everything else. That's why I was so excited to have you on. But how can people find you?
Well, if you love today's conversation, I would definitely check out my book. I had a book come out last year called A Few Good Habits. And as the name suggests, it's all about setting up habits that are going to help you be more successful, but also to reduce stress. Because you've probably caught on to the fact that I'm really interested in the idea of reducing our stress while becoming more successful. So I really get into the core habits that you need that are going to kind of give you the biggest bang for your buck, I guess, in terms of really improving your performance while reducing your stress. So you can find that on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's also on my website, coachjulielowe.com. And if you feel like, I don't know if I have time for a book right now, you could also go to my website, coachjulielowe.com/rules. And I actually have a bit of a cheat sheet from the book where you can learn the 5 rules to habit creation. That's going to really help you get started even before you get the book, or even if you don't get the book. But if you are interested in today's conversation, I think that would be really helpful.
Well, that's why you were on the show. Just what you just said. The servant's heart will give away free IP, intellectual property. I love that. Everybody should be doing it. I do it all the time. That's a servant's heart. I'm not trying to see, I'd love for you to buy the book, but here's a tip that can help you. Hey, if we help them, that's great. Because you change your universe. When your universe changes, something good will come to you. So I love that about you, Julie. Thank you so much. And thank you for being on and such an incredible guest.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. And I do hope that it helped people and really serve them today, because I think we could all use help, not only becoming more successful and serving more people, but also, becoming overall better in our personal lives and reducing that stress.
Absolutely. Yeah. And podcasting, everybody, I know people like, I talk to people all the time because I have a podcast. I don't have time. take a podcast and listen to it. Find 5 or 10 minutes that really resonate with you, and use the forward and reverse buttons. They're there. I mean, I talked about my last show yesterday, VHS tapes. I'm an old guy, not an old guy, but I'm 62. You remember as well. We had those buttons. We used them all the time. Oh, did you see that? We do it with our DVRs on our Xfinity and our cable and DirecTV and all that. But do that with a podcast. It's so powerful. Me and Julie would love for you to watch or listen to the whole show. But if you 5 or 6 minutes go, that's a game changer for me. Me and Julie are going to be so happy. I know I'm speaking for her, but I know we've talked about this. So utilize that great feature of the podcast. Don't forget about my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And also to my swag. Wear on your chest, on your head, doing business with a servant's heart. My goal and my legacy down the road would be more people embrace that mantra. So now put it on your chest and people can see it and talk to you about that. That link will be in the show notes. And as I always say, me and Julie, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for watching and listening. We really appreciate that. And we'll see you all at the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day.